implemented law, right? It's out in the public. It's solely up to DPD to tell people what they are and aren't responsible for, versus these professionals, which do business with the city all the time. So I just, they're separate cases, but it's located, and what the site could be. I don't know that I have a big issue with it, but I'll defer. So with that, I yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Johnson, and then Councilman Smiley.
Let me say this. This is another case where we oftentimes instantly place moratoriums in place. And I've said before, we need to give the general public timeline in order, if those people are in the process, they need the opportunity to finish it and not to be hit. People are invested. We need to give a space in between these moratoriums and not to let them become effective immediately as we've done in the past. Now, this particular site I have driven by, it's appropriate for a service station. There will be some competition down the street, but if the company or individual feels as though that he can fight that competition, I said, let them go for it. And I will be supporting it. But I think because this particular individual, I don't know how you expect him to predict the future or what we're planning on doing back in December when he started it. There's an opportunity to go forward with this particular development. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Councilman Smiley.
All right. First of all, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Britton, at what point were your services retained?
It's been about, I would say, 2 weeks.
Also, you weren't retained back in November?
No, sir.
I think that kind of answers the question, Councilwoman Johnson. And my next question, I just want to know the amount of investment prior to, I guess, this body issuing a moratorium reinvested in this particular project.
One second. Councilman, it took approximately $200,000.
Well, money well before this body decides to make whatever decision that no, you can't do it without their own money. Because if I had $200,000 and y'all told me I could what I wanted to do with the property that I purchased, So also, what type of service station, convenience store, what type of service station are we looking at?
You mean brand?
Brand.
Well, I'm not sure what you know. It'd be an extra.
It's a truck stop.
Exxon.
Exxon gas station.
Yes, sir. No.
No, Exxon gas station.
It's a convenience store with gas pumps. It's not a truck stop.
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Logan and Councilman Ford after that. I do want to note that Councilman Warren and Councilwoman Robinson are on this call as well.
That was one of the things I wanted to know about the representative for the area. And that is exactly why we allow for the exemption process, so that those that were in the queue or those that are asking for an appropriate
initially was to make sure that we put a hold on those. We had so many coming into our community and so many things that we were dealing with. Just wanted to make sure that the owners are aware that we're looking for good corporate and business loitering and trash and panhandling and carjackings, and there's just a number of things. If you listen to the news, there are a number of things happening there, not to mention that there was just a proliferation of them in our communities. And so, and I will never forget the chart that Councilman Jones brought and just showed the number that should be as opposed to how many are in Memphis. And so it was just to slow things down so we could take a look at them. And any, legislative body that's representing constituents would be doing due diligence if you need to slow the process down to find out what you're doing and make sure that it matches with the master plan. That was the whole point of the city having a master plan, so that we can determine the future of our community and what's in the best interest. We want to see you successful, but just to make sure it's in the right place. As I said before, some of these things you wouldn't want in your backyard, as we talked about this morning, but we want to make sure that it's being placed in a responsible place and we're doing things responsibly. Those be the only reason. And if the single member district is in favor of it and it's not violating any of the things that we talked about previously, then I don't see why not a council member wouldn't support it. That's all, Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Ford.
Thank you. I just want to ask one question. Do you own any property across the street on either side? You don't? Now, you sure it's going to be excellent mess? Because I don't want you to come back and you say you don't bought that property across the street with the state station. That's my issue. You do not own any more property. Okay. That's my question.
Councilwoman Robinson, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. I did put my name in the queue. I appreciate the dialogue and what I have heard so far. I had to step away. We're doing a little remodeling here, and my allergies, my eyes are really bothering me today. But I want to say I appreciate the thoughtfulness that has gone into the conversation. Councilwoman Robinson is number one person who didn't want to see any more service stations, car sales in our community. However, in this location of my district, there is one service station in that area, and it's on the corner of Tullahoma and Winchester. This will be a little bit down the street, but it'll be on the other side of the street to give people traveling east and west an opportunity to get gas. That area has additionally some homeowners that are probably a mile and a half, 2 miles down the street that could utilize it. But mostly the people who are working and driving that corridor, it will be beneficial. I've not gotten any complaints or concerns from citizens that have called me or directly called the office. We like to see this so cameras you need so that we can keep this location a safe location for people who come through that part of the community. And if you know somebody who has another grocery store, we need one in that area. Thank you. Council members, please support this.
Thank you, Councilwoman Robinson. Colleagues, all those in favor of item number 1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. It's opinion of the chair that will go downstairs. Same minutes, favorable recommendation.
one of them.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you very much, and there was no disrespect to the Department Division of Planning and Development. I have to work with the Division of Planning and Development daily. So no comment or no finger pointing or was ever intent to take any kind of credit away from the department, the Division of Planning and Development. All are very fine people, and I meant when I mentioned Bert Winter's name, I mentioned it as a compliment. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Item 2, a resolution authorizing the Memphis and Shelby County Division of Planning and Development to perform a review of the city landmark districts. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Moved by Morgan,
Second.
seconded by Robinson. Councilman Morgan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. This is a follow-up on what we advised things. It's the assessed value of the properties within a landmark district, the demographics of the district, the value of the residential permits, and then also historic home ownership versus rental rates in that area. And then also give them an opportunity to look at other historic overlay districts across the country and see if there are any ideas out there that we could take advantage of here in Memphis. And again, it's not limited to those things, but simply that they shall include those. And I don't have a hypothesis or guess as to what this information is going to, come back and say. I'm interested to genuinely know what the review states and if there have been any unintended consequences or benefits of the historic districts that we've been.
Carlisle.
I'm good. He answered it in the resolution. This is the retroactive look. Is this going to go? When we had this discussion 2 weeks ago, the idea was that there would be a review going forward. So this is beginning the retroactive review. Is this also going to dictate a period of time, or is that going to be after we see if this cursory review is even helpful? Your point, I'm supportive of this. I just want to make sure. When will you go back and look at like VECA and Crosstown? Is there a period of time that you guys have kind of determined? The others have been in place for a bit.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Administrator.
Josh White, an annual report thereafter. And so that would capture some of the newer districts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield.
Yes, sir. Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Administrator, can you give me an idea of what the cost on this would be for all of our districts on an annual basis?
Councilman, minimal. This would be part of our normal day-to-day procedures and operations. So it's no cost to the city.
So no additional cost for you to be able to do this and bring it to us. It's just you'll run a computer program that will compile the data and get you the information based on what you're already doing.
Carlisle brought up that we did talk about time in the council meeting 2 weeks ago. I do think that this is an annual report is a good idea. But just wanting to put on the minds of my colleagues that sometimes you cannot fully gauge the potential of an area or a neighborhood bound by time, no matter if it's retroactive or not. If we take, for example, neighborhood of Glenview, if they would have had a review like this to determine if they want to stay a landmark district or not, they wouldn't be seeing a revitalization as they are now because they would have been pulled a while ago. So just keeping that in mind as we move towards the future and see how to use information like this that comes back in a report. That it's still hard to gauge the propensity of certain neighborhoods, especially in our black and brown areas in the city.
All those opposed? I'm also not opinion chair that passes. Good. This one's nice. 2 weeks. Final recommendation. Item 3, resolution imposing a moratorium on the issuance of certain project authorizations on Old Austin P. Highway, District 1, Super District 9, sponsored by Councilmembers Canelli, Carlisle, Logan, and Morgan. Can I get a motion in a second?
Move that.
Moved by Carlisle, seconded by Logan.
Same night, Mr. Chair.
Request for same night minutes. Colleagues, I am a co-sponsor, and so is Councilman Morgan. However, Councilman Carlisle says he never gets a chance to speak, so I'm going to let he and Logan speak on this item.
All right. Colleagues, we've had a robust discussion as we have moved through decades or years of planning through Memphis 3.0, trying to take a more active approach to urban land use and however, which is why we have the exemption process. But when you're in the middle of these processes that do take a long time, people take advantage of that. They sit on pieces of property for years and then immediately start to begin a quick process to beat the clock. Notice and input is a fair and reasonable thing, but to say, we're going to give them 120 days or 6 months, you would see Mr. Whitehead's department inundated with applications trying to vest rights before it's determined. So to Councilwoman Logan's point, this says, look, we're placing a moratorium, we're going to review this, and if you want an exemption, all you have to be the elected body that arbitrates what we believe is what our citizens want in their neighborhoods, and that seems like a very reasonable thing to do. And so I would ask that my colleagues join and support this. With that, I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Warren is also a co-sponsor. Any questions, colleagues? No questions. All those in favor of item 3, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Also, aye. Any opposed? One opposition. Opinion of the chair, this will go downstairs this evening, same minutes of the favorable recommendation. Colleagues, item number 4, PD 21-03, 751 St. Paul Avenue. Mr. Administrator, the birthday boy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I gave us the applicant's representative and the applicant himself. They are here and they have some a slide deck to display.
All right, before we get to Mr. McCaskill, can I get a motion in a second for this item, please? Moved by Ford, second by Johnson. All right. Mr. McCaskill.
You asked us last time to bring the developer here who's from out of town and
Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Land moving 2595 Broad Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, 38112.
you want me to start?
Yes, sir. I thought we were going to have a slide presentation.
I thought we were too.
Okay, let's do that first.
Let's do this first because I want to see what it is. Because
Okay. We've modified the building elevations on this. We've added brick to this, and Councilman Jones, this is not a wood exterior. It's hardy plank, which is cement board, which doesn't rot like it would last 50 or 100 years. It's actually made out of cement. So it's not any wood rot. And besides the 7 duplexes up front are 100%. They've been there for 100 years. Also, so we got some photos of another development that Mr. Fleming has done on Kansas that Mr. Lumen also manages. And you can see what that looks like. And
I sure do need to see that.
you should, nice.
Mr. McCaskill, waiting on this to load. Any other changes made besides adding brick?
Yes, we added dormers on the roof to make it look more like the duplexes, because they all look like that. That's not ours, I don't think.
But it don't look like a Motel 6.
Right. Proposed, yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes, you should address the parking.
Parking for everybody that's building in a parking lot. It's actually got a couple of extra spaces. So the people in duplexes mostly will park on the street and stay done for since there are cars out there. But everybody back here has a parking in the parking lot.
Okay, but you still have people parking on the street for the duplex.
For the duplexes, yes. But they have access to the parking lot also if they want.
Will they have ample parking spaces?
No, you can't have parking for all the duplexes in this building in the parking lot. Some of them will have to park for
Have cars there, and those units, and then you got the duplexes out there. I'm concerned about the park. That's my concern.
we can see that. There's 3 pictures on there. That's one. There's 2 more on there.
In front of that, you know, this is just like this John. You got them parking on the street with a duplex. You got a Motel 6 just sitting in the back. So, hey, you got just enough parking spot. I'm having issues with that. Not only that, you may put a new roof on that. I got a problem with it being 1 bedroom. 1 bedroom is giving me a hotel feel. Okay? 1 bedroom.
There's that.
Okay? Now, I'm looking at that, and since we're going to get on this, I want to see some pictures of the ones on Kansas, because that's my district too. I'm through. I don't want you to say anything. Okay? I don't want you to come represent him, anything else. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, that's in my district. Kansas is in my district. Does he own that too?
Yes.
Okay, he needs to have it behind here. I told people earlier this morning, to get my message. I'm not playing with nobody no more. You want something? Hey, you gonna do it right, or don't come here to us. I'm on the warpath. That's my district. Don't embarrass me. You understand? And then out of town owners, I don't trust nobody from out of town. Because if he ain't got enough sense to come and he want to put something in my town, one on Kansas, don't do that.
Yeah, without objection, this item will be held for 2 weeks.
Yes. Don't come here with that.
Colleagues, as a reminder, item 5 is held for 2 weeks till the August 17th meeting. Item number 6, PD 21-24, 1424 North Germantown Parkway. Can I get a motion and a second for this item? Moved by Colville. Seconded by Warren.
You don't want to come to town.
Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to reintroduce, I believe, my colleague Clark Shue Diggs will be presenting the case from our perspective.
An amendment to the Avanti plan development located at 1427 North Germantown Parkway. The applicant is OWS Partnership, and yes, it's an amendment to this plan development. Next slide. So the property is currently part of Parcel D of the approved Avanti plan development with an underlying zoning of residential urban 3, and the surrounding land uses are mixed. So these are some photos of the site. Again, the site is currently vacant, covered by a mixture of trees, and there are several commercial developments to the south. Next slide. And again, this is the outline plan for the Avanti plan development. Subject property is part of Area D. Next slide. So this is the concept plan for the proposed car wash establishment. The applicant setback requirements of this plan development are met in accordance with this site plan. The total parking requirements are met. The landscape buffers are have been altered and increased in order to provide additional buffering between this establishment and the single-family residential areas to the immediate north and east. And a majority of this area of plan development appears to remain as open space. Next slide does not find that the proposed development will injure or damage the use value and enjoyment of surrounding property, nor hinder or prevent the development of surrounding property in accordance with the current development policies and plans of the city and county. Next slide. With 6 additional site conditions that range from, restrictions on the hours of operation and other typical site operations that will ensure compatibility with the surrounding area. And the Land Control Board recommended approval as well.
Thank you very much, colleagues. There is no opposition to this case. This is Chairman Colvette's district. Any questions?
Comment real quick. And one of the things I like the most is they tend to bring local Memphis labor and promote from within. One of the things I really particularly liked about it. It is Germantown Road, but the land has been there for a very, very long time. I also do I recall that the existing detention in the area back there, do y'all have an interest in that?
Yes, parts of the detention so that it will now be maintained. Right now, the property is not maintained.
Okay, so I keep my landscape buffer as it is right now.
Yes, sir.
And you, okay. All right. Colleagues, I met them. I like them. I know what they're going to do, and they're going to do good work. The only thing I might ask is that if for any reason you
sell. Without objection. Without objection. Yes, sir, colleagues. Councilman Carlisle.
I just have a question on the landscaping plan. I'm seeing references to the office parcel, and I guess I'm just not following. Someone can help me understand. So page 4, landscaping shall be provided along North Germantown Parkway consistent with landscaping of the existing office parcel on the south, and the landscape corners of the intersection, plan details, blah, blah. Complement landscaping of the office parcel. Where's the office parcel?
There's not one, that's all commercial. I'm not sure what
Oh boy.
you're looking at.
Maybe we do blame DPD? Section 4, Section 4A.
So, Mr. Chairman, Avante PD is a very large PD, so some of these conditions do not cover this site.
Let's do this. Let's keep moving along. Cindy, can we chat after? I just want to make sure I understand kind of what it's going to look like. But I'm with Councilman Coldat or Chairman Coldat. I think this would be great. It says partial intersection. It's got a median, whatever. I just want to make sure I understand. With that, I yield the floor.
Thank you, sir. Colleagues, all those in favor of item number 6, signify by saying aye. Aye. So 90 opposed. Thank the chair, the ayes have it. That item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And here is my colleague, Mr. Seth Thomas, who will present this case for us.
Yes, so the case for us, SUP 2112, location 3521 Lamar Avenue. It's let me see here. Where we check my notes. I turn my page. North of Democrat Road, south of Pearson Road. The owner is Aman David, and the representative is Niraj Kumar. And next slide, please. So the land use map here, you can see a mix of industrial, commercial, and then some single family that's northwest of the property. But the side of Lamar that it resides on is primarily industrial or commercial. Next slide, please. So here's some site photos. You can just scroll through these. This is the view of the property from north of Fuller Road. A significantly old gas station. Here's the site plan as it currently resides. Elevations as they were presented by Mr. Kumar during the Land Use Control Board meeting. Next slide. So in conclusion, the applicant is seeking a special use permit to upgrade an existing gas station that does not reside at the intersection of two collectors, one collector, one arterial, or two arterials. Due to the legal nonconformity of the gas station, a special use permit has to be filed for any building expansion or demolition. In reality, say that's a gas station. We feel this allows staff to set forth conditions and go over a site that is currently, kind of in a rough spot. And as a result, we feel the development will not unduly injure or damage the use value and enjoyment of surrounding properties.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Spring, you recognize.
Without being rude and I appreciate your comments today, but I'm the district person of this district, and I don't know if the super district individuals have had the opportunity, but we have not been afforded the opportunity to even visit the site. We have not.
The item will be back before us on August 17th. Okay. Item number 8, colleagues, SCP 21-153543 Covington Pike
Chair, Sean, I need to recuse myself on this particular
Yes, ma'am.
matter.
Do we know?
Thank you.
Okay, the applicant is James W. Wright LLC, represented by A. Carmichael Johnson. Next slide, please. Here you'll see the area map for where the new building is going to be going. Also, there was a recent subdivision down there as well. Across there is a land use map showing the area for office. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah, on this, I'm showing, if you look across the street at the top, there's another like commercial building there as well. So I wanted to kind of highlight that for that area as well. You can go to the next slide. Here's the actual site plan of the proposed office building. It's going to be 1 story, consisting of 3,400 square feet, I believe. Next slide. Okay. Also, this is consistent with the Memphis 3.0 comprehensive plan. Make sure I put that in there to let you guys know that that is there. You go to the next slide, please. Okay. I'm going to focus on item number 2. This part of the structure will encompass approximately 3,500 square feet. The staff and the Land Use Control Board recommends approval with conditions. You can go to the next slide that lists those conditions.
Thank you for the presentation. Colleagues, this item has no opposition. Staff is only here to answer any questions. And Mr. Johnson, the representative, Councilwoman Logan, you're recognized.
I just wanted to read a statement for your hearing. Because I'm an elected city council person, I have the duty to disclose any conflict of interest in any proposal about to be voted on. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only a direct or indirect financial interest in this project, and I see no reason to recuse myself from voting on this item.
Thank you, Councilwoman Logan. Councilman Carlisle.
I'll just tell you, I think this is fantastic, so I hope everybody supports it. I just have one question. It was the design. Was there any conversation about pushing your building up closer to the street versus having the parking in the front? Or, I'm just curious if you had thought through that, or and I'm not trying to make you just change your design. I just was curious more from a walkability standpoint. But before you answer that, let me just say thank you so much for investing and for moving your offices and for your small business. I really, really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate your time to make this a good job. We had there is one thing that we try to do is to retain most of the mature trees on site. And as you see with the plan that we retained a lot of the old maple, oak, cherry trees and so forth. And those that are on the front, we're going to try to retain those as well. Along with our plan screening on that side that'll go with the existing fencing and the existing buffer that you see on the north side of that.
That's great. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Colleagues, any other questions? All those in favor of item number 8, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Any opposed? Any of the chair, the ayes have it. Carmichael, I want to say thank you not only for bringing this project, but for sharing your dear wife and our colleague, Cheyenne Johnson.
Can we get the same 9 minutes on this item?
Thank you.
Without objection, same 9 minutes for item number 8. All right.
I have not been afforded the opportunity to hear about this project. It is in District 4. I don't know if the, super district members have been, had the opportunity to hear about it, but I'd like to proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Without objection, we will hold item number 9 for 2 weeks till the August 17th meeting until the single member rep has a chance to meet with the applicants. And as a reminder, colleagues, item number 10 is also held until the August 17th meeting. Any other business for planning and zoning? Thank you, colleagues. We're adjourned.
Video up. All right, cameras are rolling. Today is August 3rd, 2021, I think, all year. It's 2:49. This is executive session of Memphis City Council. It's time to call roll.
Councilman Canelli? Councilman Carlisle? Councilwoman Easter Summers? Councilwoman Johnson? Present. Councilman Ford? Councilman Warren?
Present.
And Chairman Colvett?
And I am present. Chair observes a quorum. We have 3 items, colleagues. First things first, let's get a presentation from MPD on panhandling. Then I'd like to discuss the resolution to submit the wellhead protection that we talked about. And then I'll go back to the resolution to reinstate a mask mandate. So I guess in the order of business to be 1, 3, 2. Let's go and get started. Chief Davis, Chief Deputy Crow, you're recognized. May I get your names and addresses for the record, please?
Chief J. Davis, 67 Madison Avenue, Memphis. Assistant Chief Don Crow, 648 Riverside.
Floor is yours.
Thank you so very much for allowing us to attend and listen. We always just want to remind everybody what the city of Memphis looks like. 324 square miles. We divide that into 9 uniform patrol stations for our area of coverage. Next slide. So when we look at enforcement action taken starting in 2017, our officers conducted 619 enforcement actions against panhandling and the related charge of obstructing highway passageway. When you go to 2018, there were 669 enforcement actions. So that was about an 8% increase over 2017. 2019, 607 enforcement actions taken, conducted 377 enforcement actions against panhandling and the related offenses. You'll go to the next slide. So when you look at 2017, there were 393 summonses issued, 226 physical arrests made. The summonses issued are a combination of city ordinance summonses and misdemeanor citations for the state offense. When you get to 2018, it was 516 summonses issued, 153 physical arrests. 2019, 482 summonses issued, 188 physical arrests. It is 207 enforcement actions taken. That is 174 summons issued, 33 physical arrests made so far in 2021. You go to the next slide. I will save you from me reading every single statistic on the 2017 slide, but if you look in the left column under arrest charges, the last entry on that is panhandling. If you see that, it's 156 ordinance summonses issued for panhandling violation, with the remainder of the enforcement action taken using the state misdemeanor charge. If you look on the right side, you see it broken down by our police stations. North Main Station, our downtown area, had 210 enforcement actions to Perkins Avenue, Jackson Avenue on the north, and Park Avenue on the south. 2018, next slide. Again, if you look on the left side under the 75 city ordinances summoned issued for panhandling, with the remainder of the enforcement action being on state misdemeanor charges. Again, if you look at the right side, North Main Station led the way with 254 enforcement actions. The left side, the arrest charges. The last entry is called panhandling. That's 214 city ordinance summonses issued for panhandling, with the rest of the enforcement action being taken as state misdemeanor charges. On the right side, North Main Station again led an enforcement action with 240 enforcement actions, followed by Tillman Station with 154 enforcement actions. Next slide. 2020, you'll see on the left, panhandling, 149 city ordinance summonses issued, with the rest of the enforcement action being state misdemeanors. If you look at the right side for the year 2020, of course, the pandemic COVID year, Tillman State is 2021 year to date. So far in 2021, 92 ordinance summons have been issued for panhandling. The remainder of the enforcement action has been misdemeanor state charges. So far this year, Tillman Station leads with 79 enforcement actions taken. This year is followed by Crump Station with 41. The last slide, of course, is always a reminder that we need everyone to help recruit and retain and encourage somebody to join the Memphis Police Department. Chief Davis and I have had some wonderful conversations, and certainly at some of the community events, people talk about panhandling, and how to, summaries I read was, if people would stop giving money, they would stop panhandling. And so it's almost a cause and effect relationship there. So with that, Chief Davis, if you have any comments, or we can go to questions.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Carl. I don't have very much to say, with the exception of the fact that panhandling is an issue that many cities are facing right now. I think COVID sort of created a climate that's rich for panhandling too. But the issue for law enforcement is always find a balance to get people help that really need help, and at the same time protect the panhandling than anything. But we're certainly here to answer any questions that you may have, and even get any recommendations of what some consensus might be as far as what our path forward could be for the city of Memphis in this issue.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we are very limited on our time. We have a few other topics to get in the middle of. So real quick, I just want to say thank you. I invite you guys to come down. I'm Cordova, East Memphis, Hickory Hill. I'm seeing panhandlers everywhere. Thank you for coming to visit with us. Thank you for everything you do. But I'm starting to get very afraid that, because they're clearly violating the distance to the stoplight, they're clearly violating getting out into the traffic. I'm just really concerned somebody's going to get hurt, get headlines, somebody got killed. You know, somebody wasn't paying attention, driving, texting, and they ran over somebody. One other thing is, I wish we could do a little bit better, if at all possible. I noticed that our arrests so far this year, if it's January to July, we're not even halfway to where we were in 2019. So if we could do some improvement there, I would greatly appreciate it. Those are all my comments, and let's kind of try to keep it simple. Council Lady Thomas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for this presentation. I was wondering just why it was brought But what is exactly aggressive panhandling?
Well, it can be described different ways. It could be profane and abusive language, intimidating or screaming at someone, pushing them, grabbing their clothes or whatever, give them what it was that they were asking for.
And then what happens, I see a lot of those arrests are either aggressive panhandling or blocking traffic, obstructing passageway. What happens to those individuals once?
Many times, these cases are not, a lot of them are dismissed. It just depends on, what judge is on the bench. To be honest with you, many of them are dismissed. So it's an issue that I think needs to be approached from a collaborative sort of standpoint. What is the desire of, the city? What do we want our community members to experience? That we move that person for a short period of time, and then they're back out doing the exact same thing over again.
Okay. And last thing, Chair, I'm sorry. I did see that it's a small amount of juveniles being arrested, which I think is a good thing. But then also, I'd be interested to see out of the adults how many are homeless, how many are probably have reports of just mental illness or physical illness, to see what that ratio is of the ones who are being arrested and putting on this data, to then see to those, like you said, those partnerships and hooking up resources could really come to play. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thanks, Councilor Easter Thomas. Councilor Logan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Officer. Which one did you go by?
The officer's discretion, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. And so keep in mind, Tennessee law does not prohibit panhandling. Tennessee state law, the misdemeanor, prohibits aggressive panhandling.
Right.
And it prohibits obstructing the highway or the passageway. And so the officer there makes a judgment decision about, is this someone that he has encountered in the past who's not taken the warning, or is this someone who's first encountered and is best handled through a city ordinance?
So is there like a uniform direction, or is it just their judgment? And the reason why I'm asking is because in our understanding, it's increasing, and so the desire was to see the offense being dealt with that way. If if you continue in and you're more aggressive, then can we not have the stronger reprimand?
So I think we might have some recommendations to that, and it might take us going back to really talk about what the city ordinance recommendations might need to be, because what we try to avoid doing, and not just here but in other places, is not charge the person on state charges if their behavior really didn't rise to that level. And I know folks get aggravated because that person's back asking for money again. And depending on the aggressive might look like as it relates to being aggravated, or a charge that has a stiffer.
So thank you for that. If it seems as if it's a mental health situation, if it's a repeat offense, are they allowed to take the person to get help, or how does that work?
Some of our crisis intervention officers, they're able to recognize when a person really needs some assistance, some mental aid, type of support or assistance. And then we try to also help through social services, many times these individuals, sometimes they don't want help.
Right.
You know. So, but those services that they need, sometimes it's more that a business owner called and was very irritated that this person is stopping their business flow. Officer responds and makes a decision whether or not the person is charged on the state or the local level.
Is that something you all are looking into?
We can definitely look at the city ordinance because it sounds like they're two different levels, and neither one of them are satisfying what we need right now.
Okay, thank you.
We'd love to suggest, Councilman Jones and Councilman Ford, and just keep an eye on the clock, guys.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of questions. A lot of them were sparked by questions and remarks by Councilwoman East Thomas. Going back to the juveniles, I guess, what is the adjudication of that? Because all of us, introduction to law enforcement, do we have an idea how those have been adjudicated as far as the juveniles are concerned?
Well, what I'll do is I'll let Assistant Chief Pro talk about historically what the process has been, and I can also share with you what I personally think should happen.
Okay, great. That'd be helpful.
So a great conversation, and I think you're kind of seeing the position police officers are put in where some citizens are tired of this and need change, but then you also balance the needs of the homeless, the mentally ill, and juveniles. So this offense would not qualify for a transport to juvenile court. It would require that juvenile be issued a summons. Then the officer is responsible for finding a parent or guardian to deliver that child to, because we can't just write the child a summons and leave him right back where he's at. Now, what happens in juvenile court?
So many no-shows, because I would think that, it's just my assumption here, that many of these people are home. Mm-hmm. And we may provide a summons and they may have to appear and they don't show. And it sort of goes back to how effective is the ordinance that we've had. I see that perhaps some of the language that some of the definitions on 2017 changed. I think that's reflective of how we alter the ordinance. But if we have a number of no-shows, how many do we have, and how does that affect everything?
Right. So the number of people that show up in court is not a number that the police department tracks. That would be the court clerk, whether it's the city court clerk or the general sessions court clerk.
If you could, what I think would be helpful, if we have this, maybe just my scant knowledge of it, they have a warrant for no-shows or successive, especially if they're homeless. Because it's clearly there are other services that we need to be providing or looking at, and we don't want to just lock them up because they've had so many repeat offenders, and they just aren't showing up. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get that data for you from the court system. And to answer your question about children, very sensitive to the plight of our kids and trying to keep them out of the criminal justice system in the first place. This is not one of those cases to get other types of support and help for our juveniles.
And, just have to think, too, I just can't imagine a kid saying, hey, Mom, I'm about to go out, we used to go out and ride a bike, but, hey, I'm going to go up to the next corner, and I'm going to ask money. Yeah. So, it just speaks to a larger issue and concern we have in our community.
All right, thank you very much, Councilman Ford, and Council Lady Johnson.
Yeah, I just want to add, if y'all arrested them, y'all just let them out on that after a while. How long do y'all keep?
So that's strictly application. If it's a physical arrest and transport to jail, a judicial commissioner reviews the case and decides what the bail should be set at. And then you also have to have the assumption or the ability that the offense will not continue when the officer leaves. I tell you this,
Right, I'm asking that question because he wants to go. Because the panhandler ain't gonna rob me. He just wants to go. Try to make it this day. But this other one will come and kill me. You know, that's the difference in the panhandler. Because you got a lot of them just out there. Home, everything else, they may have they kind of survive. I can understand that I've been there, done it, I survived. Okay, not gonna hurt a soul. But you got some, they ain't out there trying to survive. They out there trying to rob, kill, and steal. I mean, that you some, and before they come to the door and have my info, they can come to me and say, hey, what you do, $3 for this $3. I've heard to see them come and get it instead of some of these new folks that come. You know, that don't care about life, on the share rob.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's what I'm asking you. Those are my concerns. Because people nowadays, they don't want to just say going back to business. They want to kill you. You know, I'm worried.
Thank you, Councilman Ford.
there's a state crime for aggressive.
Okay, that's on the next question. On the data that you provided as the number like of aggressive panhandlers, could these be repeat offenders in those situations? So do we actually know a total number of panhandlers here in the city? I mean, because we got one number, 200. That 200 could be.
It could be one person. Well, it could be one person doing it 10 times.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes the officers, they get very familiar with individuals that are in certain areas, and they know that they have repeatedly moved them from, those places. So some of the decisions, to your point, council member, for
thank you.
Thank you very much. See nothing else? Thank you all so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
You too. Again.
Are your 24-hour days coming down just a little bit? Only 23.5-hour days?
23.5.
Well, welcome aboard again. Don, always good to see you. Sorry. Chief Deputy, Assistant Deputy, good to see you. All right, let's go to item 3, Health and Public Safety Resolution to submit the wellhead protection proposed ordinance to the Land Use Control Board for review recommendation of council districts, sponsored by Councilman Ford. Request for same night minutes. Move it. Moved by Carlisle, seconded by Jeff. Recommendation. Item 2. Before we do that, let me knock out my hold items and add-ons so we can spend the rest of our time. We have holds, colleagues, on items 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, and 32. All will be held till, I guess, the next meeting. I'll repeat for you. Item 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, and 32 will be held till the next meeting. That brings us to our add-on to items 36 through 41. Item 36 is a resolution to amend the council FY22 grant allocation
Communications, all council districts, sponsored by Councilwoman Swearingen. Same night, the CIP PK 01032 FY22 funds for the Edrise Community Center, the amount of $4,800,000. District 7, Super District 8, sponsored by the administration. Request for same night minutes. Item 39. Resolution imposing a moratorium on the issuance of certain project authorizations on Old Austin P, District 1, Super District 9, sponsored by council members Canale, Carlisle, Logan, and Morgan. Request for same night minutes. Item 40. Resolution requesting the administration to reinstate a mask mandate to the city of Memphis, all council districts, sponsored by Councilman Warren. I guess we're going to talk about that in a minute. Request for same night minutes. Item 41. Resolution to submit the wellhead protection proposed ordinance to the Land Use Control Board for review recommendation. All council districts, sponsored by Councilman Ford. Request for same night minutes. Our 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41. Do I need to repeat? We all good? We're good. All right. Any objections? Seeing none, we're moving right along to the last item. This is a resolution requesting the administration to reinstate a mask mandate in the city of Memphis. All council districts, sponsored by Councilman Warren. Request this for same night minutes. Can I get a motion? This is to send down the. Let's send this down for discussion because I don't think we're going to get all the way through it. So the motion is just to send it for discussion, no recommendation. Do I have a motion? Moved by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilman Easter Thomas. We're in discussion. Wish to be recognized. Councilman Carlisle.
We can save most of this for downstairs just because we're on the clock, but we've got a copy. He can do that. He's already doing that. I'm sure Chief McGowan can confirm that. If this is a request for the administration to reinstate the mask mandate citywide for indoor spaces, that authority no longer rests within the city of Memphis. It's been preempted by state law. We don't have the ability to do that. So that, and Chief Sinks cannot up and down if that's accurate. We are preempted. So it's meaningless. And then, so if we want to ask somebody to do something, the only thing that we can do is basically ask the health department to do it. But I'll go to the sponsor if it's 1 or 3, cool. If it's 2, we don't have the authority and there's no point.
Councilman Warren, you recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure reading the law, so I can't see Chief Sink there, and I'm not sure. What's happening is the current COVID virus is infecting people with the vaccine, and people with the vaccine are infectious and don't even know they're sick. So the only way we're going to be able to blunt this curve and not to make it horrible is to enact this and ask the mayor to do what he can to make it mandatory within the city. I'll be glad to hear what Chief Sinks, our attorney says, or administrative attorney says. If they say, if she says they can't do it, then I guess it is a moot point. But I'm not sure that's the case because I think the state law went against county health departments and said nothing about thank you.
All right, thank you, Doc. Chief Sink, you're recognized.
It is my opinion that on this issue, on this public health issue, that the state and Governor Lee has made it very clear that that localities are preempted from a citywide type of mask mandate. There's been a series of executive orders. There's been an opinion issued by the Tennessee Attorney General in terms of Shelby County to mandate a mask. Where the mayor does have authority with respect to city-owned properties, city-owned facilities. And he is requiring masks on those properties. But the mayor, in my opinion, does not have the authority to mandate masks on a citywide basis.
A question, Chief. If we had a law in place before, and we're really reinstituting that particular ordinance, does the governor's proclamation negate our ordinance that was already in effect?
We had a number of executive orders coming from the governor. We have the attorney general's opinion, and there was authority provided for mask mandates to all the mayors in the state that did not have a local health department. And when there was a local health department such as ours, the health department had that authority. Our ordinance is always consistent with the executive orders and with the health department's directives. When it came to the point where the governor subsequently issued an order relinquishing all of his prior orders, and then the Shelby County Health Department eventually lifted their mask requirements as part of their authority and their directives, which was in May. All these series of events have created a situation where we
remember when Attorney Wade set this up. Part of the way he set it up was our charter allowed us to protect the health and safety of the citizens in Memphis. And that's what gave us the authority to produce the ordinance. We produced the ordinance before there were any other situations present that said we couldn't do it. So all I'm really doing is asking us to go ahead and reinstitute the ordinance that's still on the books as far as its implementation is concerned. And what I'm trying to figure out is that's not setting a new law. We're not doing anything different. We've never taken that off the books. I was going to ask, maybe if Councilman Wade possibly
not listening.
Let me address it, Jay.
Hold on. Councilor Wade is recognized.
Our authority under our charter was pursuant to the mayor's authority to issue an executive order under emergency circumstances. That emergency order is no longer in effect, and it was trumped by the governor's executive order. So we were in lockstep with him, and therefore ours was triggered and in effect. Once he pulled his executive order, a health department can step in, I believe, under their authority and do it. But I don't think you can expect the people on the other side of the street in the executive suite to be chomping at the bit to do anything anymore. Thank you.
Well, certainly not anything that we don't have the authority to do.
If we did this, essentially, it would force the governor to tell us it's illegal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem you've got is you couldn't enforce it. Our police officers couldn't enforce it, and to the extent that we did, we might have some...
in our business. We don't want to be the one to have to do that. We need some help. So, what help can we give them?
Well, I think your resolution asks the mayor to do something. We didn't impose anything in your resolution. So, to the extent I said to you, all we're doing is asking the mayor to do it, and it's up to him to decide whether he wants to go forward. And if his
chief legal officer sitting next to me saying he's not gonna do it, then that's the end of it, I think.
Dr. Warren, would you be opposed to just moving and amending and say asking the health department to do it? I think that leads us to where we want to go.
I'd be glad to add asking the health department, and also, I guess, I would still ask our.
Second.
Within its power. Within its power. We don't want to amend. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Tell you what, let's do. Before we get down to this, let's just take it downstairs. The recommendation, we're out of time. I do have a motion and a proper second, but I'm losing council members. Doc, it would seem the will of the body is just to send this to the health department only. But I tell you what, think about it. We'll talk. We have 4.5 minutes. But anyway, we're going to get back down to council. You just text me, let me know.
I will move to amend Dr. Warren down. Well, it's already been moved to amend downstairs. All right.
I accept the friendly amendment.